Songwriting workshop. I'm not like a professional songwriting workshop guy. Hey, Brenda. But I have done a few over the years, but I long ago lost those notes. So I'm going to maybe start out with a couple tunes, and then I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about, and then maybe look at some tunes a little closer in terms of the songwriting process, you know. Although I don't know if there's much of a process, but this is a tune called Magic Dust, and it's one that just above our door there was a little plaque from a marketplace we bought down in Mexico, and it's called Polvo Mexico. Polvo Mexico, it means magic dust. It was from one of these women that had all these herbs and things to sell for healing purposes. And I just saw it, I thought, magic dust. And I thought that was, at first kind of, anyway, just kind of. Magic's gone and the songs we sung, stalled in the salt in the middle of the road. Middle of the road when the July flooded, put the rust in the rivets in the river of our love. We all need magic dust and the magic hands, the wanderlust, the willow branch. We all need magic dust to take the rust out of love. With a willow branch, my mother's daddy found water in the branch in a bone-dry land. It was a bone-dry land, water found, he had the vine in hand, is waiting underground. He had that magic dust and the magic hands, wanderlust, the willow branch, he had that magic dust. It took the rust out of his love. Yeah, when my mother could walk, when she still had land, 4-leaf clovers would gather in her hands. Gather in her hands with every step she took. She just laughed at her hand she never loved. She had I lost the clover and the willow branch. Never bent for me like strange romance. Strange romance in the old Van Gogh in a bottle of Beam in Mexico. Yeah, man, but bit by bit when I was blowing the blues, I started tapping to it, I felt sand in my shoes. I had sand in my shoes and a hole in my gut. I put it deep in the hole. I found magic dust, I had a little magic dust, magic hands. Yeah, I had a wanderlust in the willow branch. I had my magic dust that took the rust out of love. But now the magic's gone, and the songs are sung, stalled in the salt in the middle of the road. Middle of the road when the July flooded, put the rust in the rivets in the river of our love. We all need a little magic dust in the magic hands, the wanderlust, the willow branch. We need the magic dust that takes the rust out of love.
At
Go
your
for
feet,
it.
sir.
I'm a little nervous with you being out there, Nick. Nick Clark's in the house, man.
Man, I can't. It's like trippy to be like a few feet from you doing your thing, man. This is awesome.
You're tripping?
I'm tripping. Out of my mind.
You told me you were tripping in the hallway, man.
I'm tripping, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thanks. You know, that one was, I didn't have a lot of faith in that, but I waited, you know. I got a verse or two, and I just waited, you know. It's sort of like, people will try to talk process in songwriting, but, you know, and I suppose some people do, but I think almost everybody's different, and I don't know if it's a combination of, you know, nuts and bolts, pounding them out, this craft and this thing, you know. But it's also a combination of waiting, you know, and I'm not going to say that I'm like the divine conduit for the music coming through me, you know. You'll hear that from songwriters every once in a while, you know.
Oh, that's nuts. Yeah.
You know, but there is something going on, you know.
There is.
That is kind of unexplainable sometimes. And so that's special when it happens. And when I finally hit that one and I knew I had all the words and everything, and it just felt like a great meal, man. It felt like I'd eaten. This is the way I always describe the satisfaction I got from writing songs. It's sort of like writing a great meal. I mean, eating a great meal. But
sorry.
I didn't intend to.
So you weren't on any magic dust at the time.
No.
What was the line about the middle of the road, and what was that line that you...
It goes from the songs he sung, stalled in the salt in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
In the middle of the road when the July flood refers to an event, a private event in my family.
In your life.
Okay.
Oh,
With the
wow.
rust and the rivets in the river of love. Put rust in the rivets in the river of love, you know.
Okay.
And then I just liked all those R's together.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which wasn't like, okay, now it's time to put a bunch of R's in, you know.
Right.
It just, no, I wasn't on any magic dust.
Not yet.
I
Your
did take
hook
that
is, it's
to,
a beautiful hook.
I saw in the bio it mentioned the Prairie Home Show, and I did do that a lot. I did it one time when he came down to Iowa in Ames, and I wanted to do Magic Dust. And we did it in rehearsals, and Garrison's Keeler, who was the head of the show, said, well, I think that sounds a little too drug-oriented, so we didn't put it in.
Oh, yeah.
Sounded too what?
Drug-oriented.
Drug-oriented?
Yeah, like Magic Dust.
But her magic dust was healing dust. It wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
It was herbs and things that would help you.
That was hers. And for the song, I don't know what it is in the song. It's just magic, you know. It's magic.
Nice.
Very nice.
But then sometimes, like, I'll do, I'll try to write, like, if I'm, like, I tend to, no, it's, the pandemic kind of kicked me out. I don't know, everybody if you go on the internet, it seems like every creative person in the world wrote everything they ever did during the pandemic. But most of the people I know sort of languished.
I languished.
And I did, and so I haven't been on a real songwriting roll in a while, but when I would get stalled out in the past, I'd often say, let's just write some novelty songs. Kind of lower the bar and just, so, you know, and then I get a couple of those out, and then maybe something with some real feeling would come out, you know. So we were talking about the freeways here. There's a town, Iowa City is where I'm from. It's a college town, and it used to be a big town, and then it's just kind of a little town in the middle of straw now. I know a place that used to be small. This will be for Brenda. I told her to grace, and then we build them all. They had the will out in Coraville. The old hippies hated, but old hippies just complain. I get a grip and jump on a gravy train. Nobody wants to go to the mill when we could shop in Coraville. Coraville. People loving Coraville. You know we needed the sprawl. You know we needed the mall. And now the times are hard, that's why got credit cards we got fulfilled by cool towns like Coraville. Yeah, it's bumper to bumper, it's horn to horn. We got a boomtown baby growing up next door. Yeah, they go for the kill out in Coraville. Yeah, when the people get hungry as they drive to the mall, they want Hardee's and they want McDonald's and they want Burger King and the Burger Chef and the Taco Burger and the Whataburger and the Burger King and the Burger Boy. I've tried them all, it's versatile. Eating out in Coraville. Coraville. Coraville, man, they know we needed them all. Oh, we needed the sprawl. Now the times are hard, that's why we got credit cards that get fulfilled by cool towns like Coraville.
Yeah.
So move on out there, it ain't so late to buy a condo overlooking the interstate. Yeah, man, I know it's a little shrill, but at least you're rocking out in Coraville. Nobody really wants to go to the mill if you could shop in Coraville. Thank you. It's a poem.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there's a cool place at the Kerrville Folk Festival called Cureville where you go and they give you free back rubs and massages and stuff. It doesn't have nothing to do with that. The other thing I really liked, and the staff, you really need that. And the other thing is that your finger picking was really good. It was really simple stuff, but I really loved the way you moved that up and did it, and I might hit you up later on, but that was great. Thank you.
Gary.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
This is a poem
So
we
good
met
to see you.
in San Antonio.
Harmonica Mouth Sapone, they just redid my tag.
Okay, I'm not going to laugh anymore now that I've heard your laugh. I can't compete
That we
with
can't.
that. So what else? Let me do one more song and let's just talk about them.
Anyway, you can play one less.
You crazy, man. Let's see, what do we got? It's good to see you, Gary.
Likewise, I love you, brother. Get your number when we get done.
Oh.
And I got one more question. How come I haven't seen you out there if you're such a songwriter like you? I had no idea.
Huh?
Maybe I did, but forgot. How come you haven't been to Kerrville a bunch more? Or maybe I just
You know, Kerrville was funny with me. When I went and did that songwriting do folk competition thing.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was really young,
Yeah.
and I went out and did it. I was in San Antonio a lot trying to learn Mexican American accordion music. This was in the mid '80s, and it was for me. I could do one today if you want, but it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, for me, it was the coolest, it was one of the coolest things that happened to me. It reminded me of the 20s when I dipped my finger a little bit into, I heard some original blues artists, you know, but
I know
like,
you've been around that long, old blues, man.
yeah, but being in San Antonio in the 80s and 90s was like being in like Chicago in the 50s, you know, which I wasn't, but
Wow.
because all the heavies of real conjunto accordion were
Wow.
playing.
I got this.
But I went out to Kerrville and did the new folk competition.
What year about?
I can't remember, but it was. I think I.
20 years
ranked-
ago?
I think I
40?
came in second. You know, who came in first was James McMurtry.
Wow.
I know, and he was. I'd seen him in San Antonio and around town, and he was just the shyest guy. He'd sit in a room and just flat pick bluegrass.
Yeah.
Yeah, just picked the shit out of the guitar, you know. And then I had an agent for a while, and she pushed and pushed and pushed Rod Kennedy
Yeah.
to book me, and he would never. He forgot all about the new
He was
folk
funny.
thing.
He was funny like
He
that.
forgot all about it. And then one year he heard me in Edmonton, and once he discovered me, and nobody else was trying to tell him about it. Then I did Kerrville 4 or 5
You do
years.
Kerrville? Do you know about when? Close.
Mid-90s main stage kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I got sitting with Blanco.
Yeah, so let's do one. I'm trying to fight.
We gonna do that one you just mentioned or no? Are you gonna do that one you just mentioned? He asked you to do it? Because you said one more.
One more.
Did you ask me to do one?
He
I
asked
want you to
you.
play that.
The one
Do whatever you
mentioned-
want, Dave. Play a song, man.
Just play a song. Let's listen to Dave.
I thought maybe just Gary and I would have a conversation. You
Yeah, I
guys
thought
could
that
listen.
That might be nice to just cook that off for us.
You know, people, I am almost there. Yeah, I'm gonna be a bitter old man. My dad can and my granddad can and now I can. Yeah, I'm gonna blame everybody but me. Yeah, just another bitter name on my bitter family tree. And man, I'm almost there. Yes, I'm almost there. Another bitter old guy. When I get scared, I got a perfect alibi. That would be my wife. Yeah, man, what a ball and chain. Yeah, I just love to twist the knife and watch her go insane. And now I'm almost there. Bitter old fool. My kids are still scared of my bitter old room. When I'm dead, they think I'm gone. But I will pass this bitter pill on, and then I will be all there.
Yeah, Dave.
Almost there. All right, well, so I started out, I had no desire to, by the way, we got this family trait about that bitterness, and it started with my great-grandfather who abandoned his family in southern Illinois, took all the horses and went back to Kentucky. And then my grandfather, who was a pretty nice man, but hell on his kids, his male. Then my grandfather, as the oldest child at the age of 15, was sent to Kentucky to get the horses back and try to get their dad back. And he was gone for 2 years, and when he came back, he would never say what he found. And he spent the rest of his life as a plumber, really nice guy, played croquet with us grandkids, but he was just hell on my dad and his sons. And then my dad had 3 sons, and he was my dad was known as a funny guy and a nice guy, and he was hell on us. And so I don't know if I broke the cycle or I just had daughters, but it's broken. So thank God. We'll take it out on Nick, man.
I can take it, man.
I know you can take it. It's because this guy's full of heart, man. He's unflappable. So, I started with harmonica. That was my first instrument, and I just, at the age of 21, my mom gave me a harmonica. I just could not stop playing. I was like this Rel Davenport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just fucking, pardon my language, just put it in his mouth and leave it there. He's not going out anyway. You just can't stop playing. And I was like that. And then slowly I stumbled on the guitar. About the time I was thinking about chromatic.
Oh man, yeah! Right before you take it all the way serious, the guitar shows up.
Yeah, I bought an amp. I was starting to play, like electric. Starting to try to figure out what that was about.
Yeah.
I had a chromatic. I was listening to Toot Stillman.
Yeah.
I was going down there. Here I go, baby. I'm gonna be the guy,
Yeah.
I try, And then I heard John Hurt and Skip, not live. I did meet some of those guys. Skip, I think Skip James was a big influence.
Yeah.
The Delta acoustic players just killed me, So I really, I heard some of them live. I mean, Brownie and Sonny came through Iowa City every 2 or 3 years. Sonny Terry, and I had breakfast with Sonny one time. I saw Big Walter in Chicago. He was just like, he was really tall. And I remember him being, just had this look on his eyes like, I'm crazy, man. And then he'd lift his hand and touch the ceiling. Just like every once in a while he would lift his hand and touch the ceiling. It was kind of cool. It was really cool. Meanwhile, he was playing like Big Walter.
Yeah.
And I remember I met Hammy Nixon, who was Sleepy John Estes. I went to his house in Brownsville. I got to Brownsville, Tennessee, and I asked some, I had never done this before. I was in my 20s, and I went to the town square. I asked some old white guy, I kind of forgot I was in the Delta. And I said, any idea where Sleepy John Estes lived? And he said, I don't know, but they're probably going to put a goddamn statue up in the town square before we know it, He was not happy about guys from the north coming to visit him. Sleepy John was passed, but Hammy Nixon was still alive, so the librarian told me where Hammy lived. And I went there, and he was great, man. He welcomed me with open arms. Several of these people who I met, they were my heroes, so I thought it would be like, but it wasn't. They were like, oh, it's nice to see you. Come on in. Let's play. So Hammy was like that. And I never forget all he had in his house. He was living with Sleepy John Estes' daughter. She was nice. He had one mono record player. He had 3 harmonicas. I don't know what keys. He had one guitar that somebody from Italy had given him. And he had only one record. And he had no cover on the record, but the record was Sleepy John Estes and Hammy Nixon live in Japan. And I just said, wow. So where were we? So I was playing blues, and then a gig opened in the Iowa Arts Council for songwriters. And I to go into schools, you know, for a week at a time and write songs for kids. And I said, well, maybe I can do that. And the very first week, you know, we wrote a little song that was not very good, but it was good enough. You know, it's like, hooray. We were in the town of Tama, Iowa. Rainy day in Tama, rainy day in town. And the kids liked it. And then about 4 weeks later, I wrote a killer kid song called Elmo the Hungry Overhead Projector. And so I sang that for other kids, and I suddenly realized that I had seen too many folk singer-songwriters that were, it got to be a thing where everybody had to write songs. And you don't get this so much in a place like Spa where people are really interested in Ritz music. But it got to be a thing, you know, in my generation where guys, when we were young, we mostly started by learning a kind of a blues or country or rock. We learned an instrument. We really learned an instrument. And then maybe down the road you might write some songs. But it got to be this thing, you know, where people roll out of bed at 18 and start writing songs about their feelings, you know. And so I thought it made for some not very good songs. I wasn't interested. But once I wrote a few, I began to realize it's fun. And I had a little knack for it, so I kept going with it. But Nick,
What was the first song, like adult song that you wrote that you were like, yeah, this is it, this is good?
Just a Dog. Have you listened to any of those records of mine?
I have all of them.
You do? It was Just a Dog.
Yeah, how's that one go?
I could play that one.
Yeah, I thought, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'm not saying I couldn't believe it was so great, you know, but I just thought that, woo. Like, I was in San Antonio and I was learning accordion and I was so wound up. I was so happy learning this new instrument. I had a Mexican teacher and every day I'd go to his house. I'd get excited, go home with my tape, and I was all by myself. And then on the side I started writing songs. And this was from the news. Everything in the song is from one day in the newspaper in May of 1985. And all this minor stuff, I think probably came from listening to Robert P. Williams, because he played a lot of minor stuff. I get up just about every day, try to pick up the paper, see what the paper might say. Turn the front page, read the news, get myself a case of the blues. Started thinking how I could help out my mind to reel, thinking about it all. Me, I'm just a dog living in a hollow log. Sell another 10 dozen went down in Beirut today. In a car bomb blast, when you go quick that way. Many who went down with children as fear, the town washed away in the mother's tears. Men who did it laughing in Rome and they read it in the papers, scrambled to the phone. Me, I'm just a dog living in a hollow log. Then a 5-year-old took the last little sigh of his life. He got stabbed in the heart with an 8-inch kitchen knife. His mom was riding horses at the time of the attack. The doc said he couldn't fight back. The cops arrived from an anonymous call, arrested his father in the hall. Yeah, I'm just a dog living in a hollow log. You know, the extended forecast is for sunny skies in the east, with a threat of thunderstorms in the west Belize. We all know to be sunny for the weekend, worry about Monday when Monday begins. There's a Monday in Paris and Rome, there's a Monday in Paris and Nome. Yeah, I'm just a dog living in a hollow log. lot of those Sonny Terry. I always wondered if people like the song because of the barks of the song. You know?
Oh man, that for the man on the street, a good rockin' handgun line gets me every time, man. Yeah.
And that was a long time ago too, you know.
Yeah.
That was before people were so in a frenzy about guns or not.
Yeah.
That was when that was like in the Reagan era when they bombed that. I don't know if people remember they bombed that big
Marines.
building in Beirut, right?
It took down all the Marines, yeah. It was a
Yeah.
big deal, I remember that.
And Reagan walked away from that one. Reagan pulled out, to his credit, I
Yeah.
would say. You know.
Yeah, he yanked everybody out of there.
I'm out of here, man. You know, so I don't know, just I think the thing that helped me with songs was having kind of a map in my head of good songs from listening to a lot of old country, good country. You know, maybe my parents are not musical, but my dad had a lot of Roger Miller and Johnny Cash, and he liked Perry Como too, and he had Louis Armstrong. I hear trees of green, red roses too, and and then the blues guys, you know. So I mean, Sonny Boy Williamson, Rice Miller. That guy can write songs.
Yeah.
You know, people. I heard an interview with. And by the way, if this wasn't quite your cup of tea and you want to split, it's not going to hurt my feelings at all. So feel free. But you know, Sonny Boy. Like I learned from Sonny Boy 1. I loved him. I just listened to his records. But Sonny Boy 2. He just killed me as songwriting. I mean, don't start me talking. I'll tell you everything I know. Fattening frogs for snakes, you know.
Also as a vocalist, you know.
And a vocalist too, Paul. Absolutely. It's Paul Messenger, just a great guitar player and songwriter too, by the way. And I remember an interview with Alan Lomax, and he was talking about Sonny Boy wasn't too bright. And I heard a story one time about Sonny Boy and Clifton Chenier and Lightning. This was in a bio of Lightning Hopkins, and Lightning Hopkins were supposed to do a tour of southern Louisiana, the three of them in one car, but they wouldn't go with Sonny Boy because he wanted to bring his pet turtle. A snapping turtle. That sounds kind of like Sonny Boy too, you know.
Yeah.
But he was obviously, you know, those songs are just deadly, you know. 9 Below Zero. So having all that map in there, it's like, you know what a 3-chord song is. You know what it feels like. Yeah. Let's just take questions, talk. Yeah.
Is there a particular a blues song from one of the older guys, like Sonny Boy or John Hurt or something, where the lyrics stood out and really like the light bulb came on for the nuances of blues lyrics to you?
Huh.
You know?
That's a really good question. There were so many of them.
Yeah.
Well, you just gave 2 Fattening Frogs.
I was really into Hurt though, you know.
Yeah.
And at one point could play almost all those songs. You know, satisfied, tickled, old enough to marry you. I'm satisfied, satisfied. It's gonna bring it right back. And Richland Woman Blues and Casey Jones. I think when I was listening to those things, I didn't think of them as original songs. You know, it was just like these guys, these cool guys. I can't really point to one here. Yeah.
I have another one.
Totally, okay. Man.
All right, so you talk about the process and how it is a little bit of everything you hear about people's processes. All of it's kind of true, and it all kind of shows up in different ways.
Yeah.
As far as a song that maybe took a while, that you waited on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some songs like that you?
You waited a long time on?
Yeah.
Okay. I could play one.
Yeah.
Want me to do that? This is that Perfect Game song. That's not on a record. I don't know if you've heard that, Nick.
Oh, I've heard it, man.
Yeah,
Pitch my perfect game, man.
yeah. You know, I think when that thing about, I think Casey Jones, the song by Furry Lewis struck me lyrically. I waited a long time for the last verse on this one. Went out probably 3 months. And I've got a few that I waited longer than that. When I was a kid, I could feel the pull of the blacktop back behind Kenwood School. And I grabbed my glove and my tennis ball. I'd draw a strike zone up on the wall, and the stands were full behind the plate. Tender girls I could captivate, and big league scouts who never heard my name till the day I pitched a perfect game. You know, the first guy up I knew preferred fast inside, so I threw that curve and I struck him out for all to see. This little part in history and the sun did rise up above that field. One by one each batter yielded. I was an underdog approaching fame on the day I pitched my perfect Then in the ninth, it was 3-2. One more pitch I up and I threw. It was my fireball to that bully Mike. Man, the umpire called him out on strikes, and on his shoulders I did right. That field while all the people cried, who was that boy so all aflame on the day I pitched my perfect game? Who was that little boy all aflame on the day I pitched my perfect game? I wrote that one and waited on that third verse for a long time, and then I did not think I was done, but I liked the song so much I began to perform it. What I wanted to do was take this kid and his imagination, and I wanted to go either one or two routes, and I was thinking too much. I either wanted him to go back down the street to his nightmare of a home, you know, and get into that, dig into that a little bit, or, and the kid's me, you know what I mean, with the tennis ball. Because I did a lot of that. And it's me to the point where as I've gotten older, that song's 20 years, no, it's 15 years old. I wrote it when my grandson was born. But it's old enough that now when I get to that who was that little boy part, I can choke up a little bit. I'm going like, damn, man. But I either wanted to go back to the house or I wanted this guy to get to be an old man and none of his dreams happened and he's back in the school. And I couldn't pull it off. I worked, but meanwhile, I just did the song as is. And the first time I did it, somebody came up, a really hard-boiled woman I know, who's not easy to please. And she said, it reminded me of when I used to ride horses and dream about being a princess.
Wow.
I said, wow, I think maybe it's good enough. Just leave it alone. But I still waited for that one a long time. I'm waiting on one that is, it's not going to come, I don't think. I've given up on it. Yeah, it's such a lonely slideshow. The carousel and me, no, it's in G. Such a lonely slideshow. The carousel and me, down the hall, up on the wall, it's 1953. That one's looking kinda yellow. That one's faded red. Ah, there's my dear young mother turning her tender head. And then I got a verse about my little brother, and it's not gonna happen. I've taken it, and it just doesn't work. It's a good idea, but it doesn't work, yeah.
So, sounds like you start your songwriting lyrics first. Is that right?
No,
No?
more like a phrase, an idea,
Okay.
a feeling, and then,
But it's the words before the,
no, I don't,
Form?
no, like, I think, Dylan did that.
yeah,
He'll say anything,
right.
You don't know what he's gonna go to the grave with most everything taken with him, But that's what he says. Some interviewer said, when he was a young man, what do you write first? Well, I write the words first, And he sounded like the guy was an idiot for asking him that,
Yeah.
But no, I just did it kind of at the same time.
Yeah,
Like I
okay.
usually got a guitar on my lap, What am I working on right now? Like, I played this for Paul last night a little bit. I don't remember. All I got is one verse, and I know I got something. It's really something different. I would normally play it on the accordion, but I played it on the guitar, and then maybe I will play a little accordion thing. But it's mostly at the same time, and I don't. It sounds kind of crazy, right?
Uh-huh.
But once you got the instrument and you got it as a tool, and you're not really thinking about it too much, the guitar, you know what I mean? Try to imagine this. Try to imagine a little kid walking down the street singing to himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down the street and the moon's pretty high and I'm missed by a dog and my mom and dad, I'm gonna go home soon. The kid's just singing whatever they're singing. They got words and the music at the same time.
Got it.
It's not that different if you already know how to play the guitar.
Right.
'Cause, there's only 3 chords and you add a few more later. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
When you get stuck, in other words, you have a good idea, maybe a good verse,
Yeah.
but you're not able to flesh it out and complete it. Have you ever considered, or have you ever resorted to a co-write?
Not in the sense of like, I don't know that I've ever written a song with another adult, but I did do these artists in the schools and I learned a lot there. I think it's a great tool. There's just too many good writers that I have heard that do that and it works for them. I did a lot of writing I'd be in a classroom with a bunch of kids and we'd have to have a song by the end of the day.
Mm.
And the Iowa Arts Council had there was a time when we were kind of a purple state that they poured a lot of money into grassroots arts organizations
Back when dinosaurs.
in small towns. And now they tend to have these artistic gala dinners, GALA.
I live in a rural community in
Yeah.
California, and I've gotten the town a lot of grants for one-on-one with maybe 10 Native American children and 10 kids from bad homes, and then I mentor them to to go on to write or paint or whatever that helps them. So we do still have that in California. I've gotten over 100,000 to my town of 700 people.
Wow.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Can you move to my town?
I had a thing called the touring arts team, and we were all in our 20s at the time. And it was a painter, a musician, a writer, a dancer, a theater person, and we go from small town to small town. They had to be less than 1,100.
Yeah.
And the first day we would do workshops and then performance. The second day there would be a song that comes out of the town, and you'd do performances and
Yeah.
dance. Or my job would often be like to find an old fiddler. But at the time there were still plenty of them. But
There are in our area because we're the old gold rush area. My
I
husband
think
finger
California
picks.
does a lot of that. You know,
Yeah.
North Carolina used to be a real place for the arts councils
That's
and,
true,
and
yeah.
artists in the schools. But yeah, but I it'd be a good idea. I mean, I might want to think about that as I get older because I'm having a little more trouble pulling them out of the bag. You know, it may be that I just have not put myself in the mode. The pandemic kind of broke. I'm in the songwriting mode.
How would you define the mode?
You know what would happen with me? Because I was always playing live, you know, and I looked forward. I look forward to having new songs for the next gig.
Yeah.
You know, it really felt good. And because in part, I toured, but I also played locally in front of very discerning audiences. My town had very hip, very cool audiences, and my favorite audiences were in this one bar in my town, the Mill, which is gone now.
Oh yeah, it closed down.
During the pandemic,
Yeah.
it's rubble. It was, they kind of blended on the pandemic. It was capitalism, really. It was just the guy who owned the building. So now's my chance to, while people are all sleeping, you know, to tear this thing down and build a skyscraper.
Is that the show where you and Don Darrow did a goodbye concert for that venue before it
Greg
closed?
Brown? Goodbye to the Mill, last night at the Mill?
Yeah, with you and David Don Darrow, that punk
No,
rock
you know,
singer.
that one did go down because of finances and the pandemic. Me and David Dondero. Yeah, that was Uptown Bills. That was a cool little venue too.
Lost a lot of them.
We lost a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
did.
venues.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
Man.
We lost our club too, where all the songwriters came. Now they're moving to Nashville.
And so, you know, like I'm wondering what people like when you ask about songwriters and co-writers. They do that a lot in Nashville and the music centers, right? They get together and maybe in the back of their minds that they're not so much wanting to be an artist as write for other artists. I mean, I knew this guy Daryl Scott, who I
Oh yeah, Darrow.
yeah, and then you know, I originally just met him around a campfire in Kerrville, and we spent 3 or 4 hours trading songs. Speaking of, not to digress, but speaking of just Kerrville, when I wrote Just a Dog, it was a weird song. I knew it was friggin' weird.
Yeah.
But I also knew that it had a lot of cool language in it. It felt good and it was nasty, you know. And I went out to Kerrville before I knew anybody, and I was in a campfire with like Butch Hancock and a bunch of kind of heavies. And I played that song and it was just like dead silence afterwards. And it was just like, I thought like maybe it wasn't so good, man. But then I said,
Yeah.
sorry. It's like this afternoon's profanity immortalized for Spot. Thank you. So anyway, what was I talking about? Writing. But just think, what if you wanted to be a writer like, you know, Daryl Scott, when he wrote Long Time Gone for the Dixon Chicks, he bought a house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why you
He
want
bought
to
a
do it.
house, man. He bought a $250,000 house in Nashville. And those days are gone, right?
Yeah.
Because if the Dixie Chicks and some artists like that can't sell a whole lot of records, the songwriter's not gonna make much money, so those days are gone. But I think it'd be a great idea to collaborate. I'd like to try it myself sometime. Where are we at time-wise? I want to get in your questions and I want to...
We're at 2:20 right now.
220.
220.
Sure, we just got 10 minutes.
He actually got 20 something.
It's so fun when you're talking about myself.
Can I ask you a question?
What's the new one you're working on?
Huh?
What's the new one you're working on?
Okay. I'll play it on this then.
Yeah.
I don't normally play it on this, but, and then I'll slide into, it's called Mexican Heart. I just got one verse. That little blues riff was this guy Nick Villarreal used to do that kind of stuff all the time. Take one little blues note, just kind of bend your head with it for a minute. I've got a Mexican heart, I've probably had it from the start, and I don't know how I found it down in old San Antonio. Now that it is beating, man, I know that I am needing me único corazón. Now that I can feel it, and I know that it is real, un norteamericano corazón. Mexicano. Yeah, I know everyone is saying I am local, I am crazy, but it's beating deep inside. I'm gonna take this wild ride. That's it. Mexican heart. My accordion teacher used to. About a month, I got a grant to go down and study with an awesome pioneer of Tex-Mex accordion. And about a month into it, he said, David, man, I think it's time to break you into the public, man. What that meant was going to his gigs, you know. And he spent all night, he would say, I can't remember how Spanish is filmed. Tenemos un norteamericano aquí. We have a North American here tonight. We were in San Antonio. And he's going to be playing for you pretty soon, so be sure to stick around. Está un norteamericano, pero tiene un corazón mexicano, my teacher would say. He's a North American, but he's got a Mexican heart. It just killed me, man. Because I was already sort of, I don't drink anymore, but those people back then, they would get so excited, dude, we're going to see this Anglo play accordion tonight. Damn, you'd think they'd be, I was thinking about they'd be skeptical. It's more like roll the red carpet out for me, you know? They were so happy, somebody, this weird Anglo dude from Iowa wanted to learn this. So they bring me these tall boys, Bud, two of them on top. And by the time Fred always brought me up the last set. So I was pretty wasted, you know, and I'd blow it, you know, and the next day he'd always tell me in his cryptic way, David, man, I don't know, see, maybe you made a mistake, man. Maybe not, everybody dance. This one's called Estrella de Oro. Side.
Very cool.
It's the coolest music.
Yeah, Dave.
Mucho gusto.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when I used to go, every time I still go to the West Side, first thing I do when I get to San Antonio, I get jump right off 35 after my 6-hour nightmare of getting through Texas on 35. And I'm finally in San Antonio. And I head west on Commerce and across the railroad tracks, and there's a big, huge mural of Doug Sahm and Lydia Mendoza and Facundo Jimenez, and then it's still there to the left. There's this dentista, there's a dentist's office with a sign in Spanish that says, a big tooth, and the sign in Spanish that says, "We specialize in cowards."
That's great.
I know, it's great.
Man.
Yeah, and I always remember the night when I headed west on Highway 90. I was listening to KEDA radio, Radio Jalapeno, and I turned the radio off and I heard an accordion, and turned it back on and I turned off. I heard another accordion, and I realized at that time in 1985, you could drive out on Highway 90 West. There were so many outdoor music venues, you would never not hear the sound of a live accordion. It was so cool. It was just like live music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really lucky to be able to get in on that. And my teachers his name was Fred Zimmerle. He had a German grandfather, he was all Mexican. Mexican-American. So, this is about like a harmonica, by the way. This is just like a G harp right here.
Yeah.
This is like a C harp right here. This is like an F harp right here.
Mhm.
So if you're going like straight harp, straight harp,
Yeah.
you kind of go to the inside rows and you're kind of doing cross harp. You're kind of getting bluesy. You're kind of crossing it like that. And most of the things are in major key, but they do blues them up. Like those notes like are not uncommon. Like Facundo Jimenez is classic. You'd be in the middle of the song and all of a sudden going. Everybody's going, wow. Yeah, I'm so lucky because I got a taste of, I was so lucky I got a taste of an American music form in its pure form. My teacher, I went down to KDA with him, and it was like a Loretta Lynn movie. He had a 45, brought it up to Huero Polkas. Huero Polkas was his name, and Huero means like kind of light skin. And this dude, he was a famous disc jockey. He was a little bit light skinned, and he played the song. He liked it. Fred sold a lot of 45s, like within weeks. Man, that's like a really organic, cool. And do we have any? I don't mind going over a little bit, but we probably got somebody else coming in. But I don't know what time is it.
It's 2:28.
Okay, we got a couple minutes. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about or? Question?
What's your favorite Jimmy Reed song? And was he an influence? Because just the rack thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably at some point. I just noticed he was playing on rack.
Yeah.
So there you go. I wish I could remember the first time I put a rack on, or why I thought about this. Why I thought that I could, because I was harp player first. I remember I didn't have to, as long as I kept the guitar stuff simple, as long as I kept it simple, I could play what I could play on the rack.
Yeah.
But
as somebody who started as a harmonica player, what has songwriting added to you as far as like your musical journey? How the value of songwriting? What has it done for you?
it was more of the same.
Yeah.
You know, it was more of the same. It was pretty similar feeling, you know, to like self-excited, like just wound up, like wow, harmonica, the tone in my head, wow, the guitar. I can't stop playing it, sitting over in the corner. I'm so glad there wasn't any internet back then, you know, because you got a guitar that's just calling me, you know. Same with the song. The song would be in the car. I'd be driving. It's back there.
Yeah.
You know that probably.
Yeah.
Paul knows that, and so.
Sure.
What did it add? It added a new kind of career kind of thing, you know, a new slant, you know, it kind of. I didn't record much. That was my major failing.
Not yet.
I only made 3
Not
records,
yet.
and I could have made 30, you know. And
Fourth one coming, man. If there's anything before I die, there'll be a fourth Dave Moore.
produced by.
Whoever produces
I
it, I'll
was hoping to catch up, and I guess I better get going on it before they completely get rid of the CD, because I want I
That
want
day
a hard
might be
copy.
here right now.
Huh?
That day might be here right now.
It is.
I mean, it's like, I've done a lot of recording in the last few years, and I think I've pretty much made the decision that nothing's going on CD anymore. And in fact, if you don't have a video to back up whatever you did, I
Right.
mean, it's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Don't let it scare you, Dave. I'll handle all that.
Okay, you take care of it.
I'll handle
you
it.
Lead me, be my lead boy.
Man, I
Abandon
got
your
you.
career for the next 5 years.
I'll put all my stuff on the back burner for the Dave Moore album. Yeah.
I'll buy
Sounds
it.
like
It
it's
takes a
not
long
trash.
time, Nick. You know, there's 30 of them to do. You know,
I'm in for all 30.
I want to see you rise, man. I want to, you know, so we're gonna have to fight about who. I'm behind you all the way too, man.
Nice. Together, we're gonna make hundreds of dollars.
He's got the wise guy.
He's a wise guy.
No, you know, I'm not so sure about the CD thing. I agree in a way, but like for example, you know, Iris DeMent. Anybody who knows who that is? Okay, so she lives in Iowa City, and she lives with a guy named Greg Brown.
Yeah.
Greg Brown just retired, and he's a fantastic songwriter. I used to be his sideman as a young man, and Iris put out. See you, Brenda. I know. It's cool. Iris just put out a CD. She decided not to do vinyl, but her career is just rocking. And I think even though she's probably not, I'll have to ask her how much she's selling. But I think having that object for a few people is a good thing.
Yeah, well, it gives you something to sell at the gigs, you know.
Live shows.
Yeah.
Live
Yeah.
shows done.
Live shows.
Yeah, I'm sure that the CDs of a live show for Iris, I wouldn't guess. I'll have to ask her, but I suppose if she used to sell 200 at a live show, maybe now she's selling 30.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know.
So
People
2
still have
years
CD
ago, I
players.
opened for Robert Cray, back-to-back, Aspen
Okay.
and Santa Fe. Aspen, I didn't sell any CDs, but Santa Fe, an older but arts town, right? And
Yeah.
I sold about $400 worth of CDs.
You're
So
kidding.
It's about the town you're in, man.
That's cool.
In Europe, they still buy CDs.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I go there, I sell everything I bring.
Yeah.
And you know, there may be a little.
And you can also charge more money, 15, 20 euros for a CD, and they'll still buy them.
Well, you know, there could be a little retro thing going on too. There's a little Luddite movement or something.
There is. My niece is in the TikTok generation, you know,
Yeah.
the app TikTok. And
Yeah.
a few influencers bought Walkman disc things. And I
Discman.
had my niece for Christmas asked for a Walkman disc player. So
It's cool.
Yeah.
things go in and out always.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever gone.
It's like a
I know. I made the original vinyl era by one. You know, my first one was
Yeah.
vinyl, so that's kind of cool. I got a stack of about 30. I'm just waiting for them to be worth thousands of dollars.
I'll pay $1,000 now for all of them.
Deal for all of them.
This is
But you know,
Wingman here is doing a great job.
yeah, Nick's.
Yeah.
I was hoping you had
See-
some CDs to buy. You know, I was kind of hoping you had something so I could take some home.
I got enough of one of them that I got a few with me. So, to me, I'm not going to do vinyl. I feel like, and this is just me. To me, it's a symbolic act because probably, unless I go into a place with 2-inch tape, which is my other records were all made on 2-inch analog tape. You know, then why do vinyl if you're going to record it digitally anyway?
Right.
It's a
It
symbolic.
depends on your,
Is there a
Depends
reason?
on your audience. Younger people, their audience, you know, looking into the idea of
Man.
vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl's big.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
My 17-year-old got a
people are
vinyl player.
Yeah, they're not gonna buy vinyl.
I know, but
Yeah.
Paul, see my perspective on that, okay, so the young people want it, but I'm sorry, you know, like, this is not a real thing.
Yeah, it's.
This is
I
not,
just don't see young people.
Who wants
it's not an analog product if it
There's a
was.
way,
Tell me.
if you want to do if you record digital, they run it through
Yeah, they
the
do,
tape
yeah.
to condense it, and then you put that mix onto vinyl.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that kind of takes care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the processing's not a problem.
Let us take care of it, man. We got you, Dave.
I had a song about it. Got a letter this morning, postmark going home. It's nice and neatly driven, you know, Kansas City Star by Roger Miller.
I love that song.
These old guys in the lobby, Jesus Christ, they're probably younger than I am.
Oh.
But the guys play an electric guitar.
Yeah.
They're doing everything in the key of C, everything in G or C.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. It's like Red Wing and Wabash Cannonball and You Are My Sunshine. It's pretty cool. Any other quick questions you got to get in? Yeah. I'm in no rush. I don't know if somebody's after me. I don't think so, but
Something I'm
feel free to split if you got it.
So when you're writing a story, and maybe
Yeah.
it's autobiographical, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But and it's has many different parts, but you want to put them in not chronological order.
Yeah.
How do you
Thank you
pick?
very much, Dave.
What do you try it many ways, or do you just what do you do for that situation?
When you got many different parts.
Yeah, and you could put them chronologically, and that would be fine. But it's more fun
A
to
broken thing.
move them around. Something I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah, I think you should just feel free to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And if you have audiences, you should feel free to. If you have audiences, you should feel free to. I feel like you should feel free to take them out in front of an audience before they're necessarily done, and try them out. I did that a lot with myself.
Cool.
I try them out, but I did shuffle order on verses. Most of them I wrote them in a certain order.
Sure.
You know, so. I wish I had a formula for you on that, but I just think
That's
keep
good.
trying. You know.
That's still good.
Any other things? You guys have been so fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.